Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is the Aston Martin Vantage. We had the DBS in the other day from Aston Martin. That's the ultimate DB11, over 600 horsepower. This, if you like, is the starter in an Aston Martin range. 120,000 list price, a V8, 510 horsepower V8. It's the sports car of the range, and I've been really keen to have a go in this car. This one has a few new extras on it, including the carbon disc brakes. They're available later this year. It's got lightweight wheels on it. And all this was to just reduce the weight. Because when it first came out, first test cars were sort of heavier than expected. Aston claim a 1530 kilo dry weight for the ultimate spec, but they were going over 1700. I saw Evo had it at 1739 kilos. I've actually weighed this car. This car weighs 1680 kilos as it stands. Let's go and have a closer look. One of the key things about this new Vantage is it introduced a new look to Aston. This smaller headlights, that grille underneath. As I say, we first saw it on DB10 in the Spectre Bond movie. This look. And it takes a bit of getting used to, has to be said. But actually, now I first saw this car, I think, at Geneva last year, almost a year ago. And the looks have really grown on it because it looks really super modern. That's what I love about it. It isn't harking back to previous Aston. This is a modern step on. It still has those powerful haunches that we saw on Vantage of 2005. It was always a really pretty car, and it's compact, this car. It's actually shorter than a 911. There at the back you've got the rear diffuser as well, and Aston Martin script and the badge. You've got to remember, this is Aston's racer. That was what this was introduced in the range to do. So at Le Mans, etc., the DB11 is the sort of GT car. This is definitely the sports car. Sits on 20-inch wheels, 255 40 at the front, and then at the rear they're 295 35 20s. Also, obviously, with the carbon brakes on this car, and these forged aluminium wheels that are meant to be a little bit lighter than standard. Okay, have a look at the engine. Great big bonnet on this, all aluminium construction as well. And then there is the engine, this AMG engine, 4 litre quad cam, variable cam timing throughout, and what I would term the hot V. So there you go, you've got the two turbos sitting in the middle of the V. You can see them on this engine, unlike the VW engine we saw in the Lamborghini and the RS6 and things like that. So far back in the engine bay. This is about as far back as I can ever imagine an engine. If you look at the centre line of the wheels, and you can see how far back that engine is. It's right tucked into the bulkhead, because this is, as I say, Aston Martin's race car. 2 intakes, water to air intercoolers on this car. Really trick engine, and a lovely little touch as we got here. Final inspection by Dr. Andy Palmer, CEO of Aston Martin. So the first few cars he likes to go down the line and sign off the actual cars. Great to see. Okay, and round the back, it's a hatchback, and there's a pretty decent amount of space in there, has to be said. And then you've got this other little bit up here, so you can access that for when you're sitting in the front, or we have this proper boot round here. And also, they seem to say, taken something off the Rolls-Royce boys, they have an umbrella that sits there. Obviously it's an extra, I'm afraid, that one. Anyway, what this car's all about is the driving, so let's take it outside and see how it does that. Here we are. New Aston Vantage interior is, I'm pleased to say, quite different to DB11. Actually, before we get into the interior, just something I want to say about the doors. Been living with this car, and they're just a nice touch. They have this support. These all very trick doors. We sort of first saw them on DB9, and they have a sort of a strut that supports them. So you don't have those sort of indents. When you open a door and it goes to half open, doesn't it? And it clicks, and then it goes to full open, and you bash it against the wall. With this, I can put that door wherever I want, and it will stop and hold. And it's all to do with that strut. So you can it's a balance point just when you're getting out. Anyway, it's very convenient. I think that's a really nice design touch, but I digress. Anyway, yeah, interior.
there's little bits that I recognise from DB11, like the vents and the screen, but somehow it's better how it's come together. You do get the same Mercedes interface with infotainment, etc., and then you get these buttons, media, radio, etc. One slightly odd, you go sort of telephone, nav, traction control off and stuff, SOS, and it's sort of, I can imagine calling the SOS service more often than you really want to, just because, I'm terribly sorry, I've pressed the wrong button. I was trying to turn the traction control off. Anyway, start, usual way, lovely glass button, and it all comes to life. And the first thing you notice, there's a very definite V8 woofle with this AMG engine, should I say Aston engine. Real vocal engine, which, you know, I'm really pleased about, because you always worry when you saw these turbocharged engine coming in, will we still have that sort of voice that we love in sports cars? Very definitely in this car. To move off, I can touch a paddle and be in first, or I can touch one of these buttons. It's got all this car, I don't know if this is standard or not, but it's got all the crazy bird's eye view of the car for parking, manoeuvring and all that malarkey. I'm going to press drive. I'm in Sports Plus, and I'm going to press it, and then we'll go to S. There we are, S, which is just its standard sort of setting, sports. It doesn't do anything below sports. There's no comfort setting, no nothing. This is a sports car, and they want you to know. Anyway, going to head out into the village, go through Burford, and I'll see you in a little while. First impressions with the new Vantage is, yeah, it's quite stiffly sprung. I'm not excessively so, but there is certainly, yeah, a little bit of jiggling as you go through lanes like this. It doesn't change. I'm going to put it into Sports Plus actually, which doesn't actually change the damper. It just sharpens up the throttle a bit on the gearbox as well. But God, dear. As you can tell, I just think that's a great noise. I haven't gone over 3,000 RPM, but yeah, you know you're in something a bit trick. Other elements I like also is when I just the door mirrors, said the same on the DBS, you're just beautifully designed, out on a stalk, a little tip at the end. I put the indicator on, then that lights up orange at the end of the mirror. They're a delight, and they just give you such a great view of the rear haunches as well, so it's a win-win. My immediate impression is I'm in something a bit special here, which is exactly what I want from an Aston. And I've got less annoyance over things here because the price point is £120,000 car this, and it's 150,000 in the spec you see here with the carbon brakes, the trick wheels, convenience pack, whatever that is, the special tungsten silver colour outside, etc. Usual thing. I'd quite fancy one of those when you tick in the boxes. So yeah, it's £150,000 car. But when you think that DBS I tested was £270,000, so yeah, you could almost call this car a bargain. I've been lucky enough to live with this car for a few days, and I have to say, this versus 911, well, it's a close contest from what I can see, what I've discovered. The design is terrific, but it's just how sporting it feels. It's a real challenge to drive fast and enjoying the challenge. I've got information, they've put a trick diff in now. They've got an electronic locking diff that goes 100% lock up or completely unlocked, depending on how it feels that you, whatever the diff requires is you, how hard you're driving, etc. Now, see if we get past. That's quite a push, and it's aggressive, isn't it? It's free revving. I think the trick with this engine, really impressive, it still has a 10.5 compression ratio, which tells me that it's lighter boost than quite a lot of turbo engines. So it's got that punch low down because it's a super efficient 4-litre V8. Doesn't need to build too much boost before it can fly, and that's what this car does. Nice indicator sound as well. I like that, sort of subdued just a little. Also, really nice gear change paddles behind the wheel. If I want to go manual, I put it into manual. There we are, 5th, 6th. Top marks to the engine. If you're going to choose an engine supplier, well, AMG are pretty good, and this is about as least laggy turbo engine I can remember driving. I've had that Alpha for a while, that Quattrofolio. This boosts up quicker than that. Yeah, this feels pretty special. Favourite set of bends coming through here. Use the top revs, it's just so muscular anyway. I don't feel the need to have to rev it out, but steering, let's see around there. God, that felt good around there. And up we go. Slightly light on the exit. Oh. Yeah, this is a good Aston. This is a really nice Aston. See how the chassis copes with this. Has it got enough composure on this little lump? Oh, through the compression. God. That's interesting. Yeah, there's quite a lot of suspension travel for such a sporting car. Yeah. I'm liking this Aston. I'm liking it a lot. Yeah, it feels quick. So, how do you summarise this Aston? Well, some of the things I'm not so sure about. It does look vulnerable at the front. That amount of carbon at the front, that looks like an expensive curbing or whatever, where you're that unlucky in parking, etc. Because you are tempted to use this every day. The weight, I wish it was a bit closer to the 1530 dry than it actually is. 1660 it is, 1680, it's a bit heavier than it should be. God, it does perform though. It really performs, this engine. It's really nice to use. It's linear on the throttle. It's got ample horsepower. It feels proper quick, this thing, ground coverer, and it feels so sporting. It encouraged me to drive it hard, which is always a good sign, so I'm really liking that one. I now love the looks. I absolutely adore the looks. I just think it looks modern and fresh and new face for Aston, and it's the right size. Interior wise, it's so much better than DB11, and this isn't the most sparkling interior, the graphics, etc. And I'm not sure, still not sure when they put an iPad sort of stuck to the dash like that is the way to do it. But I'm really happy in here. Just something on the seats. I got comfy eventually, but took a lot of adjustments, and it took several days. It wasn't instantly comfortable in this car, but now I've got it right. I'm bang on. Really enjoying that. It's quite an enclosed cabin, not a huge amount of glass, so you don't see out much, but overall, dynamically, looks, engine, I dare say price as well, 120,000. This is a very special car for 120, and even with all these extras at 140, 150. It's the first car I thought, oh, I could have had that for the same price as my Project 8. It's the first car in 6 months I've driven. I thought, that's really nice. And I like it way better than DBS. This feels much more sporting. It hasn't got the weight issues of DBS. I thought that was just completely overrated. This feels a true driver's car, and is one of those lovely cars. It's much better than I was expecting when it first arrived. So there you go. That's the summary of the Aston Martin Vantage. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.